Inclusive design aims to remove the barriers that create undue stress and isolation for people. By thinking about inclusive design at an early enough stage, you can design truly accessible, inclusive, and appealing buildings for everyone. Importantly, it just makes good business sense. There are huge benefits for businesses for designing more inclusively. Not only will you appeal to a wider audience, but there is significant return on investment for the businesses that get it right. An example of that is a client that we worked with in the UK called Bespoke Hotels, who we designed an inclusive and accessible room for in a 14th century coaching inn. And what they found after a year of looking at the data was the accessible rooms that we designed delivered an additional £6,900 a year in revenue to the hotel. I'd urge businesses to think about inclusive design as early as possible in the design and build process. If you're involved in a new build, you should really be thinking about inclusive design from at least REBA stage 2 of the development, and embedding inclusive design at every single stage of the design and construction process throughout. If you're considering a refurbishment, again, think about inclusive design as early as possible in that stage. Inclusive design doesn't have to cost any more if it's thought about at an early enough stage. You can make really small changes like lowering the reception desk or putting in a hearing loop on a hotel reception, or even thinking about the types of floor finishes that you specify and install. Make sure you're not specifying really deep piled carpet that's difficult for wheelchair users or anyone with a stick to navigate across it. You can think about the colour contrast that you put on the floors and walls to make sure that it appeals in the right way to someone with a visual or cognitive impairment. Other small changes that don't have to cost any more are things like lowered spy holes on entry doors of hotel rooms. There is certainly a competitive advantage for thinking about inclusive design at the right stage, as by designing and building an environment that's appealing to everybody, you'll naturally attract a wider demographic to your facilities. By designing inclusive rooms, you're not just appealing to disabled customers. A great example of this is a hotel we worked on in the UK called the White Horse Hotel in Dorking, which was a 14th century coaching inn we adapted 2 bedrooms and bathrooms for. And what we found from looking at the data was these were some of the most popular rooms in the hotel, not just for disabled guests who were booking on a regular basis, but also we found that business people who were staying in the rooms in the week were actively requesting these larger rooms with really beautiful walk-in showers. And we found that family members were, again, actively booking the rooms because of the interconnecting doors between 2 rooms. So it's proof that by designing inclusive rooms, you're not just meeting the needs of disabled people, but you're designing right for everybody. Motionspot was engaged as accessible design specialists at the very early stage of Hotel Brooklyn. And fundamental to our design process was thinking about who we were designing for. So we ran a number of focus groups with Hotel Brooklyn staff, but also reviewed their existing hotels around the UK to understand the challenges that people were facing in those environments. We then worked with the architect and interior designer to help them design and specify a hotel that really looks amazingly beautiful. 189 bedrooms in total, 18 of those bedrooms are wheelchair accessible. And if you went into any of the wheelchair accessible suites, you wouldn't notice anything different versus the non-accessible suites. And for us as a business, that is absolutely the essence of why we exist, is to ensure that we work with clients to design truly inclusive, but also beautiful environments for everyone.